Hi Libra, and welcome to your July update reading. It's also Mercury retrograde. This is a really heavy duty Mercury retrograde, and I really think, even though Libra is not really the sign that is kind of like affected in a sense, kind of like that brace for impact, like would be our sister Gemini, still, given that they're like these kind of like two sides in Libra, two scales trying to kind of like measure and continuously be in balance, it kind of like does happen. So before I start, guys, please, I want to make sure that you know that you need to check your ascendant and your moon sign as well to get a better fit. It's like trying to get your skirt fit or pants fit, tacking in here, tacking there, so you kind of like get all of that stuff and merge them together. Also check if you're still subscribed, because YouTube has been unsubscribing people, so like that's really good. And also ring the bell so that way you're notified when I'm live. And lastly, guys, if you really want a customized reading, it's really the best to check through my website, cattarot.ca. And last, but the most important, least, is clicks and likes and visits and comments. What do I mean by that? I have this new system where basically signs are competing with clicks, and that means how many times you watch and comments that you make, everything is kind of like being piled up together. And just stop by, and the very last sign is not going to get the reading, because hey, if nobody's at home, why to basically send them letters, kind of a thing. So hopefully it's not going to be you. This time it is you, but that's all I ask. Kind of like tell me that you're alive. You're going to help me with YouTube algorithm, and you're going to get your reading, so it all works. All right, so let's see. Libra for this Mercury retrograde. Impact is like from the 9th to 31st, but then it's going to go for another 3 weeks. So you have 5 of Wands here. You have 9 of Swords. So it's going to be a rocky road from what I see so far. You have Judgment reversed, and you have Temperance. It's really telling me that you feel possibly violated. You possibly feel that maybe you have made some wrong choices and wrong decisions. Maybe you didn't insist, quote unquote, on your rights. This clearly is showing a battle, right? It's showing a people maybe playing a friendly game, but maybe this friendly game, quote unquote, is turning into you did it to me, I'm going to show you, kind of a thing, right? This could be argument, it could be dispute, maybe something is still haunting you. You're not the sign that is going to shy away from arguments. You are not the sign that is going to go back in the cave that you came from, hole, whatever. You are going to fiercely kind of like walk and ask for that proverbial justice that your sign represents in the zodiac. But it looks like there are many that are challenging either your authority or something that you want. Maybe they're a close one to you, because I can see that some of you are really sad about that. Some of you are feeling lost. She's holding her head. It's kind of like too many things inside, too much on her mind. It's kind of interesting that this is coming down to telling you to be patient, telling you that even this is going to pass, that there is like this huge disruption that is currently existing in your reading. And this kind of like retrograde is, yes, it's a big kind of like thing, because we have this few kind of like things that are going on. You might be missing your ex, you might be having things that are messed up with commerce, with communication, and energy can be very high or very low, right? So when Mercury retrograde is in Leo, it's actually even more intense than otherwise. So this is really something that is really good to kind of take in account, because you're an air sign. You kind of like naturally have let me just zoom this in for you. You naturally have a really okay, I'll get more. You have a really, really high energy, so it almost looks like it's going to be a huge energy drain, taking you sometimes all the way down to this kind of depths of an emotion, which you might feel a bit uncomfortable in the situation. The Judgment card, when it kind of like comes reversed, it can indicate self-doubt. It can also indicate rejection. It can indicate that, you know, karma is coming back. You are now suffering things that you thought you got away with, or that you didn't think was a biggie, or, you know, somebody is kind of like throwing things in your face, kind of a thing. You did it to me, and maybe you were not even aware of that, but they're not allowing you to fix it. They're not allowing you to kind of like stand and say, well, this or that, right? But then this Temperance shows up, which kind of like, yes, it can represent Sagittarius, this can represent Pluto or Scorpion kind of energy. But since this is kind of located there, we are talking end of October to what end of December. I really think that something that you'll be doing right now will actually stretch and culminate later in a year in your particular case. When Temperance appears, it's really telling you, you need to cool down, you need to chill. It is time for balance, and it's time for balance in the opposing areas of your life, right? Sorry. It's time to be patient, and be patient with yourself. Yes, as an air sign, you want fast results, you want a fast direction, you want fast moving, but you know, you need to examine the priorities in your life. You need to examine if you're not putting yourself first, or quite the opposite. Maybe you kind of like put yourself too much first, and everybody was saying, so what? I mean, nothing, you know, what's going on there? Clearly it's showing some kind of imbalance, because this card in some decks is showing that's like as the universe says kind of like made balance, so kind of like two galaxies on it, right? So I really think this entire thing is about redefining who you are, establishing, let's say, quote unquote, rules in your life, working out what works, working out what doesn't work, and kind of like going with that flow. So let's see. Whoa, you have Sovella, or as I call it, Harry Potter kind of like rune. And this is the rune of the sun. And this is all about carving a path, right? So this is kind of like a rune that really talks about the life-giving, kind of like brightness and glory, very similar to the sun card, right? If you wish, illumination, a flash, right? And sort of like, when this appears, it kind of like, it tells me that by the end of this, you're going to actually feel comfort. You're going to get, this is amazing, almost like a savior. Like, I mean, you know, like when we are like going down and we are like nervous, and then we kind of pray and we hope that things are going to get better, and they do get better, right? So this is kind of like usually kind of like a sign that kind of like we are going to be heard, and we are in trouble, the outcome is going to be okay, we're going to be okay. There is like no inverse meaning. The sun is the sun, just like in tarot. Isn't this amazing that Nordic people, just like Italian, just like French, just like German, felt the sun is the sun? Like in any particular divination, sun up and sun down is still the sun. It's still this life-giving kind of like force. But it's kind of like really interesting, because we could see something legal happening, or something that kind of like is universal karma, universal justice that is really happening, because it's symbolically connected to the virtue of justice. So whether or not you are involved or something, just make sure in your Libra that you kind of like putting things in balance, whether this is for yourself or for somebody else. It's very, very important that the correct decisions are made, and that's kind of like a fair judgment is given, right? If you're in a lawsuit and let's say you're one of the litigants, then extremely likely it's going to be that the verdict will go in your favor, right? So Savella, however, is also very much linked with the workings of your heart. And I see here the influence of the past lives, right? So, Savella kind of like can predict long and successful partnerships. And for you, what needs to happen for you to get there is you need to put your whole life in balance. You might have a career very developed, right? So, like if you have just like one vase and you're putting all these little pebbles in there, just make sure that, there's like not one humongous one and nothing else really exists kind of a thing. You're putting a love and family and relationships and friendships and career and job and education and liking Cat Tarot channel all in balance. You know what I mean, right? This signifies times of happiness and harmony. Whoa, and you're getting yes. I mean, isn't it sun? Yes, it's almost like the answer to life. It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm getting a really weird scenery kind of running before my eyes. Like that scene from what's the movie called, when Harry meets Sally, when she's having an orgasm, right? And she was going yes, yes, yes. But that would be yes with an exclamation mark, and there is like actually card that is with an exclamation card. This one is only kind of like a yes. It was just kind of like so. So the answer is going to be positive. You will actually sail into something that is really good, and there is going to be a shift, almost tectonic shift with this card kind of showing up. You will need this readjustment, and at times it's going to feel, oh my goodness, what's going on? Is everybody going nuts? Is everybody going crazy? But just keep going. Just keep following that sun. That's all it takes. So my dear Libra, again, you need to click in order for your sign to appear faster. You get your reading faster. And make sure you check also your ascendant and moon sign. If you don't know how, in the description, you can find the link and kind of like do that. And yeah, if you want a reading from me, check me via cattarot.ca, and also check your subscription. Just let's see what's with this YouTube algorithm. And until the next time, hopefully to see you kind of like climbing up much sooner to get your reading. Love you and all the best.